of domestic dating violence. You cannot assume that your girlfriend that's next to you is not going to go through something, or that she's had it, or that she is. Can you guys recognize some? Oh, we're going to talk about that. We can recognize that. What happens if you know someone that's the abuser?
Low self-esteem, if it's lower than, like, average someone, or the way they act around, whether it's male, they're trying to change it, why, that could probably be a problem.
It can. It can. If you know that your girlfriend requires a lot of attention, and I'm not talking about she's just going to shake and do a whole lot of attention, but I mean she's just a lot of work. She's very clingy in her relationship. That type of individual could be an individual that actually most likely could be abused in her relationship. You have to know your own values, not just monetarily. Like I said, what your boundaries are, your faith, your education. You have to know what you're worth. What about if you know someone that's actually the abuser? Anyone?
Probably very defensive. Probably very defensive.
They would be very defensive if you confronted them. I would recommend if you do decide to confront someone that you do it as lovingly as possible. Or if not, you let them know where they can actually get help. Would you just ignore someone with the abuser? Male or female. The abuser can be male or female. I'm pretty sure you know some girls that's just like, not even just, you can't say dumb, because again, we don't want to blame someone for being the victim, and we want to hold people accountable for being the abuser. Not necessarily. It's not a blame game. It's about accountability on whichever side that you're actually on.
But I'm pretty sure sometimes men might not think that they're abusive, or they're like this because they've been doing it so long, or they're so accustomed to women letting them treat them like that.
No, that's like they got insecurity, so they think, women's supposed to do this and do that, and he don't love her to go out with you, and he thinks little of him. I've counseled men who kill their wives. I've counseled men who have burned their significant others. And the one thing they will say is that their father was abusive to their mother. The one thing they'll say sometimes is that they're not remorseful for it at all. We deal with some dudes, and they are really not. There was no intervention. No one said, hey, I know where you can get help, or to say, this could be possibly wrong.
I'm sorry. The right that you give them, like the victim, like trying to get the relationship, and do you want them to try to get out of the
And that's a good question. If you know someone who is being abused, the best thing to do is to be there. So when they're ready for help, you know where to take them. You know where to go. Sometimes it's not safe to give them information. What if there are significant other who's abusing them bonded? If anyone goes on the National Domestic Violence website, the first thing that pops up is that computer use can be monitored. Make sure you're at a safe computer before you go any further. That's the first thing that pops up on the domestic violence website. So let you know right there how serious it actually is. Even when you're seeking help, you have to be careful about how you're going to seek your help.
Or what about if the victim stops, not the victim, but the person who's abuser stops the victim from talking to you, or stops them from being around you?
You be mindful. I would say be mindful. You can't do anything that could possibly put that person in danger. You can't say, I'm going to call the police and fix him because after the police is gone. She says, no, officer, nothing's going on. He's going to whoop her ass. So somebody's calling. Who called the cops? You have to be careful. Being helpful is great. Well-intentioned people can do great things, but they can also be very dangerous. You have to be careful if you choose to be the one who wants to help. It's great. It makes us feel good because we want to help, but it's not always the best thing. The thing is that you guys have to know how to get the information, how to use the information, and where to go. In the state of Delaware, In the state of Delaware, you guys, of course, always can call 911. You know, there are emergency helplines. James Williams Center. Is anybody familiar with Dover at all? Community mental health. If you actually Google community mental health or call information for community mental health, those resources can actually get you to the help that you actually need. No, I'm just saying how long the whole presentation is, so it has to be a certain minute. Anyone? Okay, now, it's one thing to come here and we talk about, everybody understands domestic violence, everybody understands daily violence, everybody understands that it can end in death, correct? Yes. This is life and death. This is not just someone he hit me, and then this is not the Kristen Rihanna. Okay, and I'm not saying that facetiously, but what I'm saying is this goes beyond the fact that that young lady was able to escape. Regardless of what happened in the scenario, this goes to show that your age, young people go through daily violence situations.
Like, but sometimes people always say, he shouldn't have hit her. I mean, I've seen some girls that say, went upside somebody's head, like, she could, like, they just think it. I've seen some girls.
That doesn't mean that they're right.
I know they're not right. Nothing that guys like to hit them back.
Yeah.
I've seen some girls.
And be mindful, if you're going to be that girl that provokes someone, you better be ready for whatever happens. I'm not an advocate of you going up to fight someone to get any of that at all. And that brings up a good point. Well, what does healthy relationships look like? You know, and NeektheLoveCoach has her 3 C's. Y'all ready? Here's a class time. There's 3 C's. There are 3 components that every healthy relationship should have. The first one is communication. All right? What do I mean by communication? Anyone?
It's not about holding.
Right. The more you hold something in, the more it's going to escalate. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, it is not so much about the emotion. It's how you react when you're in the emotion. That is the difference between healthy and unhealthy relationships. If I'm angry, if I'm suspicious, if I want to act out, am I going to act out in anger or in love? You know, is the purpose of what I'm getting ready to communicate going to heal or hurt the relationship? You know, communication is really important. It has to be respectful. You guys have to know when to communicate. Sometimes it's just best to be silent. You know, to use the time to have everybody get their thoughts together, to go out to whatever. You know, sometimes you don't always have to talk. Sometimes it's good to leave things alone. You know, and when you do go back to talk, have rules. Have rules. So that way when things get too heated, you know when to walk away. You don't want to be so involved that you forget your purpose in your communication. It's not to escalate into violence, but it's to do something, which is my second C, which is to compromise. You guys have to come up with, okay, whatever the problem is, whether it's spending money, whether it's having friends of the opposite sex, you know, you guys have to be able to compromise. But to do that, you have to come together and communicate well. And you have to know your values. You brought up the example about or the scenario about the 2 individuals who have different faiths. You have to know what you're going to be willing to compromise. Are you compromising your faith? Are you going to compromise your dress? Are you going to compromise your friend? What part of your lifestyle are you willing to compromise to keep the relationship going?